Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. Today I am coming at you with a real spur of the moment, off the top of my head video. I was curious, I don't own a Bill Russell card, but I was curious if Bill Russell cards had spiked posthumously. Not to sound morbid, but oftentimes we see a price spike when one of these legendary greats, one of these mythical figures in one of the big sports passes away. We saw it with Hank Aaron, we saw it with Tom Seaver. I know I'm a basketball guy, but I have a little bit of cursory knowledge of baseball. Those were giants of the game, guys who meant something to generations of grown adults in America. Bill Russell probably is very much on the same level as Hank Aaron as far as being in public perception, what he meant to the world, what he meant to the sport, the way he was perceived and embraced by current athletes as a mentor and a role model and trendsetter and all of the above, and just an absolutely great player as well. So even though I'm a Wilt over Bill Russell guy, and I always will be, no one will be able to convince me otherwise because of what Wilt did to Bill Russell in their head-to-head matchups. Yes, everybody's going to point to the wins and the titles. I'm going to point to what Wilt did statistically against Russell. It's out there. Go find it yourself. I am a Wilt guy, but that doesn't mean Bill Russell's not great. I get the same kind of heat when I say Kobe Bryant doesn't belong even in the conversation with Jordan and LeBron. That doesn't mean I don't think Kobe Bryant's one of the greatest to ever do it. It just means I don't think he's on the same level as those two guys. I think he's a top 10 player of all time. So I don't know why people sometimes, when we do these lists, if somebody's ranked 10th instead of 6th, it's perceived as an insult. It's just great conversation. But I'm digressing. Let's pull it up. I've got Cardladder pulled up, and I wanted to go see what the heck is going on with Bill Russell cards. So, in Cardladder, the first thing you always want to take a quick look at is this number right here. How many cards are included in the index? And then you want to take an even closer look and click cards, and you'll find, I think it really only includes 4 or 5 cards, right? Remember, when you see 60 cards in the index, it means 60 different grades. Some of those may be duplicative. It may be PSA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or half grades as well. So there could be 15 Bill Russell 57 Topps PSAs included in that 60 number that you saw. So it's not 60 separate and distinct individual cards, and that's important to remember. So really we're looking at Bill Russell's probably 5 most important cards. Let me count these out. 57 Topps, 61 Fleer, and 61 Fleer in action. So there's 3. We've got this weird, where is it? I'm not a vintage guy. There it is, the 1955 All-American Sports Club card. So that's 4 cards right there. It might only be 4 cards, to be quite honest with you, fellas. So it looks like in those 60, let's call them data points, there's only 4 separate and distinct cards, but I think it's safe to say these are probably Bill Russell's 4 most recognizable cards. He's got more, again, some of you vintage guys are going to attack me. I'm not a vintage guy, but it's got 4 important cards. Could the guys at Cardladder and the gal at Cardladder add a few more Bill Russell cards to the pop? Sure, they could add that to the database, but right now it's the cards that really matter that I'm familiar with that are included in here. So let's go back. We know what's happened to vintage, and we know what's happened to Bill Russell cards over the last year. They've actually bucked the trend. So while most of the hobby was, capsizing, Bill Russell's cards, as you can see, went up 42%. That's his index, right? So that's all 60 of those different cards, different data points, right? Again, we're including different grades in there. Those 4 cards basically have, on aggregate, increased 41.89% from where they were a year ago. If we look at the last 6 months, it's going to look a lot like the rest of the hobby. Not quite as devastating, but down 14%. If we look at those 4 Bill Russell cards and all those different grades over the last 3 months, it's a flat line. He died about 3 weeks ago, so I'm going to pull up the last month. He died on the 31st of July, which I think was right at or near, or maybe the day after the last day of the National. So that is when Bill Russell passed away. So this is pretty doggone close to that. That would be right here. Okay, so you'll see a teeny tiny little spike from here to here. you know, from 18,000 to 18,500. It's actually not really a negligible spike. That kind of does matter. 500 points on this index out of an 18,000. But you've seen over the last month, it's up 3%. So we didn't get this massive explosion like we would have expected, like we might have seen with Hank Aaron or Tom Seaver or some of the other guys that have passed away. So I was just curious. This is neither here nor there. I'm no expert on this, nor do I have a dog in this hunt, as they say down here in South Louisiana. Everything down here is about hunting or fishing, by the way. If y'all have never been down here, it's called Sportsman's Paradise. They don't mean basketball, baseball, football, and hockey. They certainly don't mean hockey. They mean sportsmen's, like as in go kill animals with guns and bows and hatchets and things like that. So in Louisiana, everything has to do with a hunt. So when I say I have no dog in this hunt, I don't have any Bill Russell cards, so I could care less what his cards did. But I was curious because I'm a student of the game and I'm a student of the hobby, and I'd like to know and speak intelligently on the matter. But if we go back to that card section, I've got it sorted over the last month, the cards that have gone up the most, and then I'm going to show you the cards that have gone down the most. And so you'll see it's kind of split, and the cards are only up 3% overall as a group of the 60. And so his PSA 4's done the best. It's up 65%. But again, there's so few data points. It's quite possible if we look at the sales, maybe this was just really undergraded. It could be like the best 4 you've ever seen. You know, possible PSA 6. So even the seller is kind of, you know, stressing the fact that it might be undergraded. Maybe it's a better looking 4 than the one before it. And so you got to remember these data points when we look at stuff like that. It hinge so much, especially in vintage, on the actual quality and the color and the centering of the particular card, even within the same grade. Most of these other ones are 18%, 8%, 6%. Again, we're talking about the same 3 cards here. All of these greens, right? There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 of them that are even up over the last month. If we sort it by the worst performing, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that have gone down over the last month, and then the rest haven't moved and or haven't sold at all. And so the worst performing card is actually, I think, the same as one of the best performing cards. It's just a different grade. And so there's really no rhyme or reason, but really what I was getting at, and the reason I did this video, is I was just curious, and you guys might have been as well. Did we see this big spike in the Bill Russell, you know, 57 tops, 61 Fleer in action? Did we see a big spike in that market? And the answer to that is absolutely we did not. So I don't know. A lot of people like to say, well, it was built in. Bill Russell was going to die. Well, you know what? We all are. So, so I don't know if that's really built in. We've seen spikes in the past when these iconic players from years past have passed away. We didn't see it with Bill Russell for whatever reason. You know, and maybe it's a result of demand going up, but supply going up at a commensurate rate, and therefore it just flatlined and there was no net effect. I don't know the answer to that. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Were you guys expecting there to be a little uptick in the value of Bill Russell cards after he passed away? And again, I don't mean to make light of it or turn someone's passing into, you know, an investment tool, because it's not like I loaded up on Bill Russell, you know, the hour after he passed away. That's not my deal, but I would have suspected there are people out there who would do that. And I'm shocked that people really did not, and nobody really ran these cards up in price. And so let me know in the comments what you think. I would have expected to see some type of bump, but I don't see one at all. I'm not the most astute vintage collector, and I'm certainly not a vintage investor, but some of you guys out there who have a lot more experience than me, educate the rest of us. Comment below and let me know why we didn't see that little slight bump. And maybe I'm just nuts, and maybe this is typical and perfectly normal. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Short video, nothing much to it, nothing to conclude. Basically, the answer is nothing really happened post Bill Russell's passing, unfortunately. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.